Reverend Lindsey grew up in a religious family and always strived to help people. On some nights, his family would have church in their basement. This led to him becoming a pastor at the Presbyterian Church.
When he first started as a pastor, his goal was to build trust. This was something that the church needed and continues to need. He worked on that with the church and then decided to expand his help to more people than the people of Skinny Atlas. Reverend Lindsey decided to sponsor the Lost Boys of Sudan. He was then given the opportunity to go to Sudan by himself.
When Reverend Lindsey went to Sudan, he was supposed to meet up with his guide. He waited for about 5 hours, but the guide never showed up. About 50 people walked through the door, holding a sign said Lost Boy Lindsey. When he got there, the local church pastor said, "What are you doing on my turf?" Reverend Lindsey replied he wanted to make an impact on these people's lives and build trust with them. The local pastor allowed that, so Reverend Lindsey stayed and built a clinic.
The clinic Reverend Lindsey set up provided free health care to the people of Sudan. The clinic performed eye surgeries and helped prevent malnutrition. The population of the village that Reverend Lindsey traveled to increased after the clinic was set up. Now children can be delivered and raised properly with better health care.
While Reverend Lindsey was in Sudan, he saw people planting crops. They would stick their finger into the ground, place a seed in the hole, cover it up, and then move on to the next one. He thought about how he could make that easier and decided to help. He gave money to the church in Sudan to buy 30 oxen and 10 plows. Reverend Lindsey then wanted to help the people more, so he gave a couple $1,000s that he had gotten from doing weddings to the local pastor. The pastor said this would help get his son out of jail after a misunderstanding. As Reverend Lindsey was leaving, a woman took him by the arm and said, "I want something from America. Give me something from America." All that he had on him was a $5 bill, and even though nothing less than $50 or more than 10 years old is worth anything, he still gave it to her because it was from America. When he went back 5 years later to see what they were doing with the money he gave them, he was pleasantly surprised. The church had bought the oxen and plows, and they were actually being used, and the pastor was able to get his son out of jail.
Reverend Lindsey's outlook on helping people changed greatly after his trip to Sudan. When Reverend Lindsey got back from his trip, John Dow and he set up a foundation named after John Dow. The foundation's main focus is the Lost Boys Clinic that Reverend Lindsey helped start. At the beginning of this year, they were going to airlift food and water to the people of South Sudan. Many people will be able to have healthy foods and clean water.